Welcome back to another Film Geek movie review. Today, after the old day job, I am off to check out the new action comedy, Fight or Flight. Fight or Flight is directed by James Madigan, and it is starring Josh Hartnett. It tells the story of a mercenary who's trying to get back in the good graces of the agency that he used to work for. So this agency hits him up and asks him to go on an airplane and protect someone. Here's the thing, though. Word gets out that he's going to be on this airplane protecting someone, and a ton of assassins decide to take this same flight. So he and this other person of interest must work together in order to survive this flight. Guys, this looks like it's going to be an absolute blast. I'm really looking forward to seeing this movie, and by the looks of things, this is the directorial debut of James Madigan. He is normally he does like special effects and all. He's also done some television directing, but by the looks of things, this is his directorial debut for a feature-length film. And I do love getting out there and seeing a directorial debut. So you know what? It is enough of me sitting here jibber-jabbering on. It is time for me to get to the old day job, and then I'm off to check out Fight or Flight. Welcome back, just getting home, and guys, I had a blast with this movie. Now, normally I have negatives and positives, but this time around I don't really have anything that upset me, I guess you could say, in this movie, but there are some things that I'm going to call mixed that I think some people might get turned off of watching this film. So we're going to do mixed and then move into the positive. So the first thing I want to talk about is just the all-over vibe of this movie, because this film is, honestly, it's kind of silly. It's kind of a blend between an action film and a very schlocky B-rate action gore fest, basically, because guys, this movie is very, very violent, and there's a little hint to the violence that you might get when you watch the trailer, and I'm not going to ruin it for you, but let's just say one scene in particular really goes ham. But all in all, most of the stuff is really just brutal, beat down, hand-to-hand fighting. If you're someone who doesn't like stuff like that, then this probably won't turn you on whatsoever. Like I said, it is very bloody, it is very gory. I personally enjoyed it, but I do know there's some folks out there that just really don't like that level of violence. So just making you aware of that. So yes, the vibe of this film is very silly, it's very unorthodox, and it's strange. But if you can let that go and just allow yourself to get into this film, you are really going to enjoy it. But it really depends on your level of campiness. Do you like a campy, schlocky, B-rate action film? If so, you're probably going to enjoy this movie. If you don't, you might not want to really deal with this film. I don't think you're going to like it too awful much. So let's just move into the positives, shall we? Let's talk about Josh Hartnett. Now, I don't think I've actually seen him in a hardcore action role like this. I've seen him in crime capers and such, but a real balls, bare buckle brawling kind of martial arts film, I don't think I've seen him do a movie like this before. And going into the movie, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little hesitant. Not because of Josh Hartnett's acting ability. I think the guy's a phenomenal actor. I've just never seen him do stunts and work like this before, so I didn't know what to expect going into it. And guys, he does an excellent job, extremely convincing. They don't have to utilize things like shaky cam or close-ups, quick cuts, or anything like that. He literally holds his own throughout this entire movie, and he is working with some stunt people who are actual trained martial artists, and he looks very good. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that he's not a trained martial artist. Maybe Josh Hartnett is. I don't know the man personally, but let's just say in this movie, his acting is on point, his action's on point, his comedy is on point. Man, this man showed up to work. I don't know how much of the action he did himself, but he must have put himself through hell making this movie, because it is obvious that he did a lot of his own work, and it looked great. The visuals in this film, yes, there is a moment in this movie where things get kind of wild and surrealist and crazy, but it's just for a moment. Also, the comedy of this movie is really on point. There was a lot of really laugh out loud moments, and I was not the only one laughing. I was with a fairly full theater, and a lot of people in there was having a blast with this movie. The practical effects, yes, you heard me right, they used practical effects. There was one part where they might have used CG blood, but it went really quick, so it was kind of hard to tell. But most of this movie, except for that one weird little cartoony moment, everything is done with practical effects. Now, I'm not saying that the practical effects aren't cartoony. We're talking like Master Samurai kind of cartoony. You know, and then you get like a small little cut and blood just goes everywhere. Oh yeah, it's that kind of film. This movie is drenched in ooey gooey bloody redness. Again, if that's something you don't like, this might be kind of a hard watch for you. And the movie is fairly high octane. It really keeps the action moving. You go basically fight from fight. There's a little bit of stuff and story in between, but the story in this movie is not necessarily all that deep. It's pretty much a survival film on an airplane with all these other bad dudes, and you just have to survive. There is some stuff in there that I felt like kind of added a little characterization and all to the characters that made you get behind them and like them, but when it comes down to like a hardcore story or any kind of lore, anything like that, it's not there. This is just a balls to the wall, fun action film. Turn your brain off, shove some popcorn in your mouth, and just have a freaking good time. Because that is exactly what this movie was made for you to do. I had a blast. The people around me had an absolute blast. Like I said, the acting is solid, the special effects are solid, and the way that the film is filmed is great. The cinematography is really cool for it to be in such a small space, basically. And believe me, the movie does keep itself very interesting and the pacing just fine, even though everything is in this one airplane. Thank goodness it's one of those big jumbo planes, because at least there's a little bit of space to move around, give you some different set changes and all, and also gives a little spot for our heroes to kind of be able to hide off somewhere, take a little breather before they have to get back out there and start the killing up again. This film is going to just entertain, guys. That is what this movie was built for. So if you're a person who is a big fan of just down to beat down style action, martial arts films, you're probably really going to enjoy this movie. If you're not one that likes a lot of violence, campiness, and just complete schlock in all honesty, then this is probably not going to be the movie for you. But if you love a well-made B-movie with some excellent done special effects and extremely well-filmed fight choreography, that was something I forgot to bring up when I was talking about the cinematography. The fight choreography is very on point. I was, again, like I said, worried about Josh Hartnett being able to handle a film like this, and he does excellent. The entire cast does a very good job in those fight sequences, and everything is filmed very well so you can actually see everything that's going on. Like I said, they don't utilize a lot of shaky cam or quick cuts or anything like that. They rely on the action in lens, and I appreciate that. So all in all, guys, I would have to say that if you're a fan of a really fun B movie, then you're going to have a blast with this. If you're somebody that is a little bit more civilized, you might not get as much enjoyment out of this as I did. I personally think this is a solid get out there and see it in theaters if you're a fan of films like this. Otherwise, wait for it on streaming. If it doesn't sound super interesting to you and you're like, I don't know if I want to go out there and spend my hard-earned money on something like this, please give it a chance on streaming, because Josh Hartnett needs a win, okay? Trap wasn't all that great. He needs a win, so get out there and support this movie. Alright guys, that's all I have for you today. Thanks again for checking out the Film Geek. If you liked what you saw here today, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, ring that bell for notifications, and give me the old thumbs up so I know you like what you're seeing. And there's one more thing you can do, folks, that is keep watching movies. You know I'm gonna.